15 things poor people do that rich people don't. Welcome, we know that many of you are on your way to financial success, so we wanted to put together a list of things that poor people do that guarantee our mediocrity. Please take all of this with a grain of salt and realize that it is here to make you think about your current situation and what you can do to improve yourself. As always, there are many exceptions to these rules. Not everyone can control these circumstances. But being aware of these habits and activities can give you a slight edge, and who knows, if you stop doing them, you might be closer to that goal you've been dreaming about. Here are 15 things poor people do that rich people don't. 1. Poor people watch a lot of television. If you have time to watch reality TV, you're probably poor. It's always amazing how much time poor people waste watching mindless TV. It's one of those distractions that grabs you and won't let go. If you know which celebrity is dating who, if you watch TV shows every week as the episodes come out, if you have a favorite news channel, you're probably watching too much TV. This is why your life is the way it is. Let us explain. Celebrity gossip and buzz add no value to your life. Rich people want to be on TV instead of watching it, you might say. But, I watch The Big Bang Theory, which is a really funny show, and it helps me unwind. That's the problem, you disconnect from your problems instead of dealing with them and getting them out of the way. There are rare occasions when, to paraphrase John Lennon, time you like to waste is not wasted time. But really think about it, should sitting and watching a screen be something you really enjoy doing? Before we get to the second thing, poor people, let me explain what we meant by having a favorite news channel. You might say that the only good reason to watch TV is to know what's going on in the world, to stay informed. The problem we see with that is that TV stations are always biased to choose their own magenta. Instead, use the power of the internet to get a quick glimpse of what the world is like today and go on to do your own thing. 2. Poor people eat fast food. Health is really important, and many poor people have no interest in knowing what's in their food, what a real healthy meal should look like, or know very little about nutrition. Poor people are blasting their brains with large amounts of sugar and fats with no nutritional value. They are actively ruining their bodies, and as a result, they cannot perform at 100% of their potential. If you're not healthy, all aspects of your life will be directly affected. You'll suffer physically, mentally, professionally, and even romantically. 3. Poor people buy clothes or products that are on sale. Let me put it this way, the only thing you should buy on sale is stocks. While poor people are trying to conserve or stretch what little they have, the rich are focused on increasing their income. Think about it, the clothes that end up on sale are the ones that people who could afford to pay full price didn't want. By buying clothes on sale, you're just making sure you look exactly like someone who can't afford to pay full price. 4. Poor people wake up later than rich people in their early years. Poor people are often lazier than rich people in their early years. We know that some of you will be very offended by the previous statement, but it's statistically true. Someone who uses their youth to grow is much less likely to remain poor later in life. On the contrary, if you wake up late, don't educate yourself, waste time on meaningless activities, you will eventually find yourself so far behind what the world needs from you that you will end up miserable. The paradox is that people who do not focus on growth in the early days end up working much harder with little success later in life just to stay afloat. 5. Where people are really into sports. The truth is, unless you're a professional athlete or a team owner, there's really no reason to watch sports. It's the same with television, it's escapism from your current reality. Think of it this way, you're putting yourself in a position where you, as an individual, have no effect on the outcome of the game. 0 impact. This behavior then sticks with you and you end up being a spectator in life instead of a player or an owner. And that's when you start criticizing other people when you haven't done anything better yourself. 6. Poor people don't shower as much as rich people. At first we thought this was just a made-up fact, but it turns out to be true, and surprisingly, it explains a lot. If you really think about it, most jobs today are in the service industry, where human contact is a must for a successful exchange of value. People who don't have good personal hygiene will, over time, be less successful than their counterparts. People tend to trust them less, people want to spend less time in their presence, and all of this affects their personal lives. If people don't like you and don't want to be around you, what kind of partners are you going to attract? It may seem ridiculous, but the first step to success should be an early morning shower. 7. Poor people blame others for their unhappiness. How many people do you know who make excuses or blame other factors for their lack of success? There are some things that are out of our control, but 99% of your life is up to you. Remember, you are in charge of your life. You are in charge of your relationships. You are in charge of your health. If you want it to change, do something about it. Life is not what happens to us, it's how we react to what happens to us. When something bad happens, the poor choose to become victims, while the rich look into it, study it, try to find out what happened, why it happened, and how they can protect themselves from it in the future. While one assumes the position of a vulnerable victim, the other uses it as a growth point. 8. Poor people have no savings. One of the differences between the poor and the rich is that the former don't prepare for what comes next. Putting money aside allows for growth. Let's say something bad happens. If you have money put aside, the problem is solved and you can go on with your life. If you don't, and the situation is urgent, what do? You either liquidate an asset like your car, house, etc., or you can take out a loan. For the rich, when the situation is over, they're left in the same position, with savings. Whereas for someone who's poor, their lifestyle has been dramatically affected or now belongs to the creditor. Now let's look at the exact opposite. An opportunity arises. Those who have money put aside now have a chance to expand their lives, while the other can't afford to take full advantage of this opportunity. That's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. 9. Poor people use credit cards or take out loans for useless things. One of the main differences between rich and poor is how they use credit. The rule is simple: if you take out a loan to buy something that doesn't make you more money than the loan, don't take it out. It's that simple. You should only use credit if what you're using it for is an investment. Want to borrow for a big TV? Don't. Want a loan to buy that new Supreme equipment? Don't. Want to use credit cards to get that new iPhone? Don't. Unless you're going to flip the Supreme gear for profit, or use your iPhone to develop a new app to grow your business, these items should not be on your credit. Instead, earn the money and then spend it. You'll learn more about that in number 12. 10. Poor people tend to have more children and have them earlier in life. The truth is, kids are really expensive. We all know how much fun it is to make them, or at least practice making them, but people get stuck up to this point. They don't think it's true. Just to give you a sense of perspective, if you live in one of the more developed countries, it's going to cost you about $250,000 to raise a child. Because of lack of education, this environment, and other factors, poor people on average have more children and at younger ages than their rich counterparts. While the rich wait a few years for their standard of living to improve in order to provide the right environment and conditions for their child to thrive, the poor just go for it. Once the baby arrives, the struggle to stay afloat begins, and progress beyond barely surviving is almost impossible. 11. Poor people do not have regular checkups with their doctors. We've touched on the importance of health in the past, but this is an especially important point for people who don't get checked out regularly. Let's say you happen to get a serious disease, let's say cancer. If you get regular checkups, you'll catch it in its early stages, which means it can be treated at a lower cost. If you don't, you may not catch it until it's too late. It will cost you and your entire family a fortune. And no matter how much money you have, you might still lose your life. 12. Poor people spend money before they have it. One of the greatest dangers in life is to spend money before you have it. The moment you start borrowing money or incurring expenses before you're able to pay for them, your life begins to spiral downward. If you don't have money for something you're willing to give up without affecting your life, then you can't afford it. Go back to work and get it. 13. Poor people surround themselves with other poor people. True luxers know that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. If you are surrounded by 4 poor people, guess who is the 5th? One of the ways people make sure they stay poor is by associating or hanging out with other poor people who reinforce their core beliefs. You need to be around people who inspire and push you, who are doing incredible things themselves, whose success will only motivate you to transcend your current reality. If you're hanging out with the same people you did when you were young, you might want to take a second look. Don't be afraid to step away from the crowd and move on to something better. If you don't, your potential will likely be crushed by those who want to make their miserable lives feel better by making sure you suffer the same fate. 14. Poor people never realize their ideas or potential. You can't control who your parents are, where you were born, or how society treats you. The only thing you can control is the number of hours you put into your dream. Every single person alive has only 24 hours in a day, and yet some people do much more than others. If you dedicate yourself to learning and doing more about what you're passionate about, it's only a matter of time before you achieve success. You've heard that 9 out of 10 businesses fail in their first 3 years. Well, do you know how many businesses fail because they never got started? The answer is all of them. If you have an idea, work on it, put it out there, get feedback, improve it, start again and again and again. 15. Poor people believe that others should help them get to the top. The world doesn't owe you anything. Nobody does. Believe it or not, you're in this on your own. You are responsible for what happens in your life. The thing is, everyone believes when they're young that they're going to be successful, but then reality happens. This world we live in only rewards the best, the ones who never quit, the ones who keep learning, keep adapting, and understand that no one is going to solve their problems for them. Face them head on, and along the way you may meet people who feel the same way and share parts of the journey with you. Otherwise, you'll just be part of the majority destined to fail. If you know someone who is guilty of any of these 15 things, please do them a favor and show them this video. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth discussions on navigating the online realm for financial success. Feel free to drop your questions or share your own experiences in the comments below. We love hearing from our community. Stay motivated, stay curious, and most importantly, take action. The internet is your oyster. It's time to discover the pearls waiting for you. Wishing you success and prosperity on your online ventures.